Hey, good morning, everyone. Glad to be back with you for another session of Stronger and Better. We just gonna give people just a few minutes to come on in. Come on, we want y'all to join live. We want you to share this and also do watch parties. We have a great subject today. We're going to be talking about blended families, bringing everybody together. So I'm excited to have this conversation with everybody. Say hello as you come in. I see people starting to come in now. We got people coming in. Good to see you. Say good morning to me. Let me know that you're here. And we really want y'all to interact today. We want y'all to get on. We want you to ask questions. We want you to conversate with us. We have some exciting people with us today. We're going to have Prophet Coleman with us. We have Prophet Denton with us. And we're going to have my brother, Pastor Hedgeman, with us. And this is going to be a great topic. Good morning, Emma. What's going on? Good to see you this morning. Good to see you. What's up, Ashley? Good to see you this morning. Glad to have you here. Classy Roxy is here. What's up? Good morning. Good morning. Good to see everyone. Come on in. Like I said, we want everybody to come in. Please share this one. We're going to be talking about blended families. And how do we deal with the blended family? We're going to be talking about how you deal with the kids, how you deal with the parents, the cousins, those little ones. We're going to be talking some real talk. Like I said, please share this. Let's do a watch party. Let's get as many people on the line to have conversation. We want you to engage with us. This is another session of Stronger and Better. And as we have to iron sharpens iron. So come on in. Good to see you this morning. We got people coming in. Good morning, Latanya. Also, good morning to Miss Valerie. Good to see you. You know I love you. So good morning, y'all. Good morning, y'all. Say hello as you're coming in. We got people coming in. And I don't want to prolong this any longer. So I'm going to start bringing our guest on the line. We have Prophet.
Good morning.
Here. Good morning,
Prophet. God bless you this morning.
How you doing?
Good to see you again.
It's good to see you. You're looking good this morning. Everything well?
Yeah, everything's wonderful. Excited about this day, man. And beautiful topic we're going to be dealing with today.
Yes. I'm going to bring my brother in. What's up, LeBaron? What's going on, Pastor LeBaron? How you feeling?
Good morning to everybody. Wonderful.
Good morning. And we have a special guest with us. We have Prophet Thurman Denton with us. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. How you doing? I'm good. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great.
Going
great. I don't want to prolong this introduction. We started a little behind today, just trying to get everybody on the line, but we're here to talk about blended families this morning. I'm seeing that the older I get, when you start dating, when you get into relationships, you're dealing with more than just the individual, but you're dealing with what comes with the individual in terms of other people. Maybe that's kids, maybe that's parents. You're dealing with cousins, and every situation is different. And I wanted to kind of bring that to the forefront, especially as we've been talking the last couple of weeks about relationships. And there have been a lot of questions concerning how we build a relationship, not only with the individual, but who comes with the individual as a family. And I'm going to go ahead and start this topic off with Prophet Denton, because Prophet Denton is a counselor, man of God, and he's very diverse and has a lot of wisdom in terms of this subject. So I'm gonna give you the table, Prophet. Why don't you go ahead and start it, Prophet Denton?
Okay. I know we talked a little bit earlier about blended families are a common thing in this country and all across the world. Actually, about 65% of remarriages involve blended families. So, and in the work that I do a lot of counseling. I see a lot of situations where we have to counsel people about with blended families. One of the questions I think that was asked most often is, when do you introduce your children to your?
Oh, there you go out. I'm not sure what happened to him. Hopefully he'll come back. Oh, here he comes. He's coming back in now.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, so that's one of the issues that I wanted to expound on this morning is to encourage people that are dating to take your time when you're introducing children to a new person, and you definitely want to consider the children's feelings as well as your new friends' feelings, and you want to talk to your children about dating and see where their head is and how they feel about it. And move. I just want to encourage everybody that's out there that's considering this to move slowly, especially when you're dealing with children.
Yeah, children
And
are
you want to make sure that the relationship is long term. You want to make sure it's a committed relationship that's long term.
absolutely. So when is a good time to consider this relationship a long-term relationship, or how does a person know when that's the right time?
That's it varies from person to person, from relationship to relationship. If you've been dating a person over 90 days or closing in on 6 months to a year, you know that that's a pretty good chance that's a committed relationship. You've looked at the person in a lot of different ways. You definitely want to make sure you experience all the holidays with a person, see how they react and what's going on with them. You want to make sure that the person, how they interact with other people as well as you, as well as your family. So committed long term, that's leading up to somebody popping the question saying, hey, do you want to get married? You want to make sure you're equally yoked. You want to make sure that but there's spiritual, that there's a spiritual connection as well as other connections that you go through in life. Just want to take your time, make sure that person is the right person before you get other people involved.
Absolutely. Prophet Coleman, do you have anything to say about that on your
Well,
side?
Well, really, I didn't get a chance to actually hear the question. We had kind of got a system back going here. What was the question more or less there?
Well, we was asking the question about blended families and when is the right time to really bring children or to bring others into the picture.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the part that I heard, I agree with Prophet did. You can't just race into something because marriage. Period. You're bringing a family involved, and so many people, I think, look at just the tutors involved. They forget about the children on the front end. They think the flesh gets in the way. A whole lot of stuff is in the eyesight. So it's going to come with time. And you start seeing red flags on the front end, if there's a problem with you, it's going to be a definite problem with the children. If children names keep coming up and you see certain expressions of body signs from that individual, then that is not the right person for you.
Absolutely. What's your thoughts, Pastor LeBaron? Oh, yeah.
I can't seem to hear you.
Okay, now I think that in my honest opinion, I think one of the greatest challenges when trying to establish a blended family comes from an unrealistic expectation from usually one, and sometimes it can be both. You're not going to be able to separate that mother or that father from their children.
Right.
And so oftentimes you can love the person, but yet and still having your mind that, you only marrying them. And so I think everything is about a matter of maturity and security, because you don't want to put a strain on the blended family by trying to make that spouse choose between you and their children. And oftentimes there's more competitiveness than there is a complementary to our dynamic. And so I think it's important that people who are dating, who are considering marrying people with children, that they make sure their perspective is realistic and that they have a mature mindset towards the uniqueness of a blended family.
Right. That's good. That's definitely good. So in terms of that, and as grown in a relationship, and as time is going, and you fall in love and all that kind of good stuff. And you want to introduce your children to that individual. What if your children are not feeling or are not engaging into that new person like you may be?
That's very realistic, and I think we got to be sensitive to that. Some people say, "Oh, well, y'all just gonna have to get over it." I don't think children deserve that. If they've already their parents are separated, I think that other parent needs to be sensitive to their emotions, the psychology component that can interfere with that. Children can rebel, feeling like you've chosen somebody new over them, and so from the matter of maturity, the way they process and interpret things are a lot different. And as a dating person who's in love with someone else, I think you got to have conversations with those children. I got a relationship in mind that's within our church. One of the spouses up and got married to this new other spouse and just told the children, "Hey, we getting married this date." And now after, 2 years is still major strain. Is like a hurricane.
Wow.
Because those children were not properly considered in that process.
Right. And it's so important to have the children as part of the process in terms of the relationship and, really honoring their opinion. But how far should their opinion go?
What did you say?
I was saying, how far should that opinion of the children go within the relationship?
Well, I'm going to say this here. First of all, if you came out of a relationship 2 or 3 years back or whatever, not only you have to heal on the front end, but the children has to heal.
Yeah.
I agree with what Pastor Barry was saying, because you need to take time to talk to your children, to really listen to them, see what they has to say. Surely they are young. And a lot of cases I've seen parents like, "Well, hey, I'm your dad, I'm your mom. You just going to have to adapt," like he's saying. Well, you can actually scar that child for numbers of years. On your decision, not really actually listening to them. And he made a very important statement. A lot of times the child said, "Hey, you choosing the person over me." If number one, if it's God is in it, God's going to work it out. A lot of pastors, a lot of counselors, I would say recently, the last few years, are beginning to counsel more blended families. But on the front end, years back, you really didn't actually hear that in the churches.
Yeah.
Blended family had just not started. You look at Abraham, even in his time, he did with Ishmael and all this. When you start dealing with benefit, you're gonna have some issues. Number one, because the child never came from a particular seed. Daniel got a son, and then here comes Joe. Well, if she married Joe, that's not really Joe's seed, that's Daniel's seed. So you're trying to shape a spirit that's already in an individual. And it's going to take some agape love, a lot of praying, a lot of listening to help that child get through it. Yeah, most time we attract the people, we look at number one, and most for men, we looking at shape. Hello.
That's right.
No, come on, brothers. Wow, she bad. Okay, I need to know what's in your head. Okay, but what's in your head now? If the flesh, in other words, is overpowering you, you got an issue there, because number one, you more than likely you're not going to hear your child because the flesh then rose up. Okay,
Yeah.
a lot of times when you're in a relationship, it's sad to say, but it is. Most people on the outside see more than we do.
Yeah,
That's true.
We blind to the flesh. So
That
when
is true.
That's true.
they have opinion, and I can say it boldly. I sit down and actually talk to my son before I got remarried, because he'd already been wounded before. And we had that conversation, and I let him know, that, hey, I'm always going to be here for him. Sure, my wife did the same thing. But my thing is, guess what? I wasn't trying to replace your natural real mother. That'll never happen. Not on this earth. That's over. I don't care how sweet you get, how many toys you buy, how many suits. That's been settled. But we can try to reshape or remold our family unit like it should be, and bring some joy, some peace in. And most people doesn't take that problem because kids, they get up in their room, they start doing strange stuff, and you wonder what's wrong. They really upset because you're not talking about what's going on in your own household.
That's right. That's right.
I think that was good. I think that was so right, Prophet. And Pastor Leroy, I think that after, how much consideration should you give to the child when progressing, I guess, from dating to rather engagement or marriage? I think enough to actually have conversation, but yet give them commentary, and then within reason, you try to give them the greatest level of understanding possible. Rather that is from you, rather that may be even from a counselor. And I think after you've gone through those means and measures, and as Prophet stated, and now flesh is out of the way and the Spirit of God has confirmed God's okay for you to marry that person, I think at that point, if you've done the due diligence in the process, not as in what's satisfying to you, but what is considerable to them, I think you then can have the go, and God will that will kind of blend as it goes.
I agree.
But I don't think you should give them that much power where, oh, my mom ain't gonna be with nobody, my dad ain't gonna be. And if the child don't accept it, then you're gonna be bitter, because then when they get 25, now you're gonna be feeling like a lot of people that come your way you've allowed to pass, and you want to be mad with the world. So I think consideration to the degree where there's commentary, and then within reason, if God speaks to your heart, you have to obey God.
That's right. Prophet Denton, I know you deal with this in counseling. How do you approach this subject, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, well, I agree with what Prophet Coleman and Pastor Hisman are both saying. My thing would be is that the individuals definitely need counseling, because if you need counseling going into a relationship before you get married, you're definitely going to need counseling to help with a blended family, because the children on both sides, if you have children on both sides, of their opinions, their thoughts are very important. It's going to be hard to blend a family when you got some opposition that you haven't had an opportunity to sit down and discuss. Even with adult children, even you may have children that are out of the home, that are grown. They're going to have some issues when a person remarries.
Yes.
You have to even sit down and talk with them and consider their feelings. You definitely want the children to be on board with the situation. And it's going to take counseling, it's going to take praying and the Spirit of God to work out that situation. I would encourage people that are going through this to go to your church, talk to your pastor, talk to the counselors that's in your church, and get as much help as possible to blend that family, because it's a tough situation. I mean, you get a lot of children that act out in the home. I've actually done a lot of counseling in the home with children that were acting out because of the new partner, not because that person was bad, because the children just didn't know how to accept the situation, and nobody gave any regard to how that child felt about it. So I just want to encourage everybody, you get as much counseling, take as much time as you need, and get as much information and education you can to help blend the families together. It is a good subject, and it's something that churches have to consider strongly at this time and age. It's just something that we have to consider as leaders in the church to help our congregation and the people in the church come together and be whole.
Absolutely, absolutely. So those who are just joining us, we're talking about blended families, and we're talking about how to bring everybody together, whether that's children, parents, family members, cousins, whoever. So please ask your questions. We want you to come on live and join us. You'll find in your feed, your message, that you can come on and ask questions, or you can text me privately at 860-946-0523 in order to ask your questions. But there was a question that came across the table. It is kind of a difficult question. It talks about shacking. You're in a relationship, you love somebody, and you want to make this a family unit and kind of see how this thing is going to work. Can y'all talk about the aspect of living together, and what they said is shacking?
Let me jump in, because I got to leave and go to a meeting here in a couple of minutes. you know, the people have to consider that they are a role model to their children. And, you know, you want to teach a child the proper way to have a relationship. So shacking is one of those things that you're sending a message to the child or to other people that, you know, this is okay when it's not really okay. Because shacking is acting like you're married, but you're not married. And shacking can lead to a lot of problems with children in the home, even with the person that you're shacking with. You know, it's just not a good idea to be shacking with someone, period. And especially if you have children that are in the home, it's just sending the wrong message.
Absolutely, absolutely. Prophet, Pastor.
Yeah, you know, shacking is culturally accepted, but it is covenantly opposed.
Hmm.
And when shacking actually is implemented within the constitution of the development of family in that process, you've taken away, I feel, all of your safeguards. So we have a major disagreement and it got ugly, where can we go? All right. If I'm unsure and the Spirit of God is dealing with me and I want to step back a little bit to make sure that my flesh is not governing my decisioning, where can I go? And so I think that shacking actually does more damage to the process than it does help. And the truth of the matter is, if people really be truthful, their whole reasons and premise for shacking is financial. It has nothing to do with getting closer. It has nothing to do with, well, I want to be your protector and I want to be close to you. It has all to do with, hey, we can save money staying together, one rent instead of two, one utility instead of two. But really, truthfully, God frowns on it. Now, culturally, it's very common. But the truth of the matter is, if we're going to do it God's way, if we want God's blessing, then we got to embrace the truth. And the truth of the matter is, shacking is covenantly opposed.
Absolutely. One of our listeners made a comment, and Ms. Deborah Francis says, how does this work? If you're a Christian, does that please God? Because fornication will happen.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen. You ain't checking with somebody and you coming out the shower and all
Right.
this stuff, y'all gonna keep reading the book of John. It's gonna happen. That's why it's opposed, you know.
We do
Go
have
ahead, Prophet. Go ahead, Prophet.
I definitely agree wholeheartedly with what you said. You know, I've heard people say, and pastors like, you know, Pastor Coleman, you know, me and my friend, and that's my friend, okay? And we just stand here together. Now, both of us saved. I don't know how long, but both of us saved. And you know, something just common sense. You know, things are going to happen when you're interested in the opposite sex, which you should be. And the flesh going to get weak. Thoughts going to go through the mind because there's a real devil.
Yeah.
I like what was stated earlier.
Yeah.
Shacking is not a covenant with God. Anytime you don't have a covenant with God, you know the devil has got to be in the middle. In other words, it's not going to work. I love what Pastor Barrington said. A lot of time when you deal with shacking relationship, it's really about finances. What can you do for me? Can you buy me this till I get on my feet? You know you got issues, but you're just hanging in anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cop out. When it comes to the children, you're setting the wrong example to children. You really actually telling them later on in life when they becomes an adult, to an adult stage or dating stage, it's all right to do this here. So you created a virus.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to continue to spread. It's not going to get any better because that's what they seen their mother or their father do. So you know, you can't break covenant. It just won't work. I wouldn't say the word shacking because I look at the word in the book of Genesis when Sarah actually told Abraham to take Hagar. That was somewhat of agreement between him and her in those days and time. But later on, it still caused problems because guess what? Even though Sarah wasn't with him and had the baby, issues came up. So there's still a problem. It was not the correct covenant of God. I'm still dealing with that covenant. And when you get away from the covenant of God, you're gonna have some problems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she
Fornication gonna happen.
She had a follow-up question, and I think a lot of people say this. What about when they say they were engaged or they're engaged?
Engage is not marriage. Engagement is called engagement because it is one of the final stages before marriage. And so just because we're engaged doesn't really give us the permission to jump ahead and break covenant or manipulate God's covenant. I try to strongly encourage people that if you are engaged and you want to move in together, you feel like this is going to help you get ahead in life, this is who you're going to be with, but we're not ready to have all the funding we need for our marriage or whatever, I encourage people, well, you need to go ahead and get married, whether it's privately, and then have a public ceremony. But even though you're engaged, you cannot manipulate. You don't have the promises of that covenant. Those vows have not been exchanged, so that covenant has not been enacted. And I think we have to get back to helping people understand the spiritual component of covenant. You know, truth of the matter, and even in my marriage counseling sessions with people here at our congregation and sometimes outside of our congregation, I said, we're living in a time where people look at marriage as an event. There's more emphasis placed on what I'm going to have on, who going to take the pictures, where we going for the honeymoon, how many people going to like our pictures on Facebook. And because they look at marriage like an event, when the high of the moment is over, after the honeymoon, a couple of, overtime, let the eye go out on the stove, check engine light come on the car, now I want to get divorced. And so it's important that even in that engagement stage that we have a respect for covenant. Yeah. And some things are going to happen. I mean, truth of the matter, some things are going to happen. I mean, you got to keep your relationship with God, practice repentance, try to discipline your flesh to the best of your abilities, and try to live your life governed by the Spirit of God. But engagement doesn't give us permission to shag.
Absolutely. I'm just going to change the subject just a little bit. Classy Roxy asked a question. Please make it conventionally safe suggestions for the children to get to know each other more intimately, as well as the parents building communication with the bonus parents. How do we do this?
Well, one thing is very important. I'll let Prophet speak to it as well. One of the things that's important is that we don't try to come out of the gate preference driven, but rather purpose driven. The purpose is to grow as a blended family. Grow. When we're preference driven, we come out the gate, look, call him daddy. Don't call him Mr. John, or I ain't got to call you this. We try to put labels on people. We try to force people to address people a certain kind of way, and we take away from the reality of the moment. And so people end up faking for the sake of compromise, only to later on create a major issue, a major problem, and we realize what we thought we had, we didn't have. So I think with the children, they'll grow better intimately to the degree you allow them to do that at their own pace. We provide structure. Hey, we're going to eat together, or hey, we're going on vacation together, or hey, we're inviting you to go to the ball game with us. But as far as trying to make the blended family be your ideal of a family in the first 6 months, puts a strain on the relationship. And then they end up complaining to their other biological parent. And so then this dad is feeling some kind of way because his son is telling him, mama is now telling me to call Mr. John dad. And so it does nothing for the bonus parent. And I think if we stay purpose driven and let our preferences develop on their own time, we better our chances.
Let me ask this question because this kind of fits with what you said. Somebody texted me and said the tides are shifting when it comes to absentee fathers. More dads are stepping up as they should. However, how do you manage your home effectively with a co-parentship with an outside parent?
Mm.
I think that outside parent is what I think we're better able to answer that based upon the truth of the outside parent. If they're active outside parent, or they are an abandoned outside parent, or they are here a year, gone a year outside parent.
Mm-hmm.
So it all depends on if that outside parent is very active and committed to that child's life, then I think it is only right that co-parenting should be with respect to that parent. That's your father, he loves you. Or that's your mom. Hey, did you call your mom today? Hey, when the last time you talked to your dad? We should be supportive of that outside parent. If that outside parent is a detriment to the family, only keeps a mess, only promotes stubbornness, and try to keep hell in your house as a result of their own lack thereof, then I think you and that parent has got to seek God on a wisdom specifically for that situation, on how we're knowledgeable of him or her, but yet and still how we prevent him or her from interfering with our destiny and what we've committed to building here. There has to be a wisdom that comes from God that helps us not internalize everything and then know how to protect the confines of our house emotionally from someone who just simply wants to be a deterrent to our destiny.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. There was another question that came and it said, if you didn't bring children into the blended family, how do you let your spouse know when you're not feeling like the priority? When they're not effectively balancing parenting and marriage?
Now I noticed you said if you didn't let someone know that you was bringing blended families into the family.
Oh no, it said if
No,
you didn't bring children into the blended family.
Okay.
if y'all will,
They didn't
if
have
y'all
any
will,
children.
yeah. Let me speak to that real quick because I got to get ready to go. And
Okay.
then I'm sorry, but thank you for this opportunity again to be a part of this. I think if I don't have any children and I marry somebody with children,
Right.
they got children, and then again, what was it? How do I keep them balanced? Yeah.
Well, they it sounds like they're feeling like they're not the priority anymore.
Okay.
I
And
think
how do they balance how the spouse balance the priority of them and that child?
I think that comes with communication, and I think that spouse has got to be willing to hear that. A lot of times we get emotionally committed to only one responsibility, and that's the truth of the matter. And I think that comes from a lack of grace. See, when I'm having to do something in my own strength, I'm only as committed and I'm only as good as my strength allows.
Right.
And really, that's where the spiritual maturity comes in,
Yeah.
where we're able to embrace the possibilities of grace. And there's a grace that will come on that spouse that allows them to be a number one mother and a number one wife. And you have to be able to hear those, I wouldn't necessarily call them complaints, but those, you got to hear those warnings that, hey, you went to your third grade reading with your child. Great. Okay. Now you're saying their birthday was last month. We did that. Okay. Now you signed them up for baseball. You did that. But we hadn't been out on a date. You hadn't even touched me. You between work and your child. And so we gotta be willing to voice that. And then at the same time, the other one has to be willing to hear that and believe God for grace to be able to do both. Don't be so quick to say I can't. Oh, it's impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
Prophet, you gonna say something?
Well, I guess in a nutshell, I guess the one that's not getting the attention, he or she gonna ask the question, who are you married to?
Yeah.
Are you married to children? Are you married to me?
Wow.
And it doesn't take long to figure that out because, like Pastor Barry was saying, you just watch the action. And we have to make sure that we are so watchful of ourselves that we don't get so I would say defending ourselves that we can't hear. And a lot of times we can't hear because of things that we want to do what we feel is right. But that don't mean that it's right. So I agree on things that he made a statement on there.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a question that came across, and they want to know, how do you know when you're ready for a relationship? So it sounds like they've been single for a while, and how do they know that they're ready for a relationship?
This relationship, or you talking about blended families or what?
It
Well,
says,
this
it says
relationship itself,
relationship. So,
number one, they are not ready to a relationship till they become whole. See, until you get happy with yourself and appreciate you're not ready for a relationship. A lot of people hadn't been healed from other relationship, and they jump to the next person, and they still bring turmoil in that person's life. So the first thing, they have to make sure that they have been completely healed, forgiven whatever went on in their past life, and then they are ready to move forward. That's why I would say that.
yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, I mean, you have to make sure you hold, and like we talked about in the past couple of weeks, and really getting yourself prepared.
Mhm.
What books are you reading? How are you studying?
Right.
You really seeking God for what it's going to take for you to be a husband or a wife. So you really got to get yourself together in terms of making yourself whole and staying in the Word of God when it comes concerning that. We did.
Let, let me say this here. Making sure you're ready for the next relationship. First of all, you got to be honest, like I said, with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself, because the truth of the matter be told, most times from what we was wounded from in our previous marriage, we start looking for those things immediately in the next relationship.
Yeah.
Then if we see one of them, just one, it triggers a whole lot of other stuff. And then and that individual is innocent, and could be that God put the person into your life, if you do get into a relationship, to kind of make you complete your wholeness.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we overlook the help that our spouses can bring to us because we refuse to see ourselves. And you just got to make sure that you're really, really ready. Don't come in with, hey, your guards up. Hey, I was married to him or her, and it was always the money problem. I'm not going to take this no more. Well, you're not really married. I'm not going to take that no more. You can't come in there like that. I'm not saying you should come in there with your guards down, but I am saying you have to be open-minded.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a question that came across talking about how involved should parents be in terms of the relationship.
Dealing with a blended family? Is that what
Dealing with a family, yeah.
Okay. Well, that more or less has been answered earlier. You can't force a child to say, hey, this is daddy, or da 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 da. You got to be able to sit down and talk with your children and communicate with your children. If there's no communicating with your children, you automatically gonna have problems. Because guess what? They're automatically gonna be brought into the marital situation if the marriage occurred, because guess what? You're dating one another. So on the front end, you need to get things straight on the front end, And I think Pastor LaBarra had already addressed that particular question.
Yeah, I think they're really talking about the parents, not the parents in the kids' relationship, but the ones who's being married. So the husband and wife parents. So
you said husband and wife parents?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
wow.
Not the kids, but
I kind of hit that earlier. I want to put it another way. Who are you marrying? Okay. Are you married a person? Are you trying to bring your daddy into the picture, and you want this man to be like your daddy?
Right.
You're trying to marry this woman, you want this woman to be like your mother. Well, right. I can easily answer that. First of all, I'm not your daddy. Okay. Right. First thing. And I never will be. So if you're looking for your daddy in me, number one, it's not going to work, because you're going to go through a lot of years comparing me to your daddy. And I can't be your daddy. Now, I may have some ways like him, but not all his ways. The way that he bonded his family will not be necessarily the ways that I would bond mine. The father was wrong or the mother was wrong, but you're dealing with two different households here. And rules that stood for his house or her house might not work in my house. Well, that's what you grew up on. Well, if you like growing up on that, maybe you should have stayed there with them and keep on growing in that household. Because what I'm presenting here, this is where it's going to have to be. We need to work these things out between me and you. In other words, what I look at is when you left daddy's and mama's house, The tie should have been cut then.
Yeah.
Not saying you couldn't communicate. Let's get real about it. What man wants his wife's father come in and try to tell him to run his house?
Yeah.
What man's wife want that man's mother come in and talk about, baby, this is the way I did it? No, she don't want that. That's her home. She want to feel like she's secure in her home. She wanted to look in a certain way. She want to dress her home a certain way. So, you can't, that won't work. Oh no.
Yeah. I do want to continue the conversation. And if you have any questions, please.
Pastor Leroy, it can bring years of bitterness because the man or the woman are going to never feel they're never who they really supposed to be in their household. It's going to bring years of bitterness. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And that's good to talk about. And I guess the question is, how do you balance that? Because you have people coming from two different paths, two different types of families, totally different environments. So how do you bring that all together where it's not a war in terms of how to parent, how to handle financial situations, how to bring this blended family together? How do you do that? How do you coordinate that?
Well, first of all, you can't speak on everything you feel that is wrong. It's a give and take situation. There's got to be a balance. Okay. Some things that we could have been taught for 10 years could be just as wrong as I don't know what, but I've been taught that it was right. Does that make me right? No, I'm still wrong. But until I can realize that, hey, I need to humble myself as a man and hear what my spouse has to say and think about what she's saying to me, and then consider it, then that can bring change me. But if I'm all gung ho all the time because this way daddy did it, I'm gonna be the wait a minute, hold on a minute, wait a minute. Well, on her part, my mama told me this and yak, and mama did this and mama. Well, okay, wait a minute. Again, you're not marrying the parents. So in every relationship, you're gonna have some ups and downs. You're gonna see some things that you wish that they knew the way you was raised, and vice versa. But until till you come to a medium, you're gonna bump heads. There is no such thing. Let me put it this way: is a non-argument marriage.
You mean you got to argue? That's probably.
In other words, it's gonna be some friction. I don't care if it's over the toothbrush.
Yeah, that's right.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't like when you put your toothbrush up there. Well, I've been putting my toothbrush in for years like this. I don't even like the way you squeezed it in. I think it was great. Bishop Patterson talked about that. Bishop G said his wife didn't like the way he squeezed the toothpaste out. So guess he just started rolling from the opposite end just to get along to bring peace. You know what I'm saying? So, all of us have faults. We got issues, and we have to realize that we got some issues and all of us need help.
Yeah.
And guess what? Our spouses can help us if we allow them to help us.
Yeah.
If we allow them to help us, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So it's about a coming together thing, and it's going to be some ups and downs. I've seen people say, me and my husband have never argued. I'm thinking, wow, I need to get out of here. But what are y'all doing? Walking in the house with tape on your mouth? Come on.
I think you're right. Both sides have to humble themselves.
Yeah.
They got to humble themselves and really look at the, what they're getting involved in, and really create some kind of balance for their family, what works for them. Sometimes we bring all these outside sources. We watching TV, the person on TV say you got to do it this way. No, you got to do what works for your family and do, what God is telling you to do. You was about to say something, probably. I saw you.
Well, you made me think about this particular book that a certain individual had written.
Uh-huh.
I'll just put it that way.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's a good book, but a lot of women was buying it because of what he was saying. It had a lot of good, strong points, but it didn't fit every male.
Yeah.
It didn't fit every male, and it had some good views in it. And you don't want to get caught up on what somebody else is saying all the time, and it's different, and you start, governing your life after this particular book or what somebody else is saying. You have to learn how to live for yourself.
That's right. I did get another question that came across, and they were asking, they've been in a relationship for, I think, over 10 years.
Okay.
And the person, they're living together, but the person doesn't want to marry them. How do they handle that?
Well, I heard my beautiful wife say something last week. It was something about, why buy the cow when you can get the milk free? And she was so right. she was so right. I mean, how long does it take to make a commitment? This is this individual's life that you are playing with, per se. Yeah. And
Prophet is he's going in and out again. Hopefully we can get him to come back. Let's give him a second. Prophet, you went out. You went in and out again.
Yeah, I noticed that.
You must have been saying something real good. They
got a thunderstorm going on, had a little rumbling come in. But as I was saying, the statement my wife made earlier, which was last week, was really hitting it on the head, because you shouldn't get relaxed. Year after year, just going through the same thing. Again, what you're bringing damage not only to yourself, but also to your children. You're letting them know, him or her, this is all right. And if the truth be told, probably a lot of the children sit in the house thinking like, hey, what do I really call this person?
Yeah.
You acting like mommy, you acting like daddy, but you really not together. And God cannot really fully bless in no relationship like that.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely agree. Prophet, we're gonna be on our hour pretty soon, but Michael Gonzalez did ask a question. I don't know if you mind switching topics a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can find it, but he wanted to know if he's still on here. He said, "Hey, Pastor Laurie, great conversation. I don't want to change it, but I'm just wondering if I can hear about what role the church can play during this current time."
Okay, all right. I'm assuming he's talking about what he's seeing on the television and what have you. That's what I'm assuming. I didn't say this present time was the pandemic, or what's going on with the I wouldn't say riot. I would say the some of the things that the people are doing. Well, we already know that number one is we as Christians, our voices need to be heard. We need to be out there as Christians, and of course, all of us know to pray.
Yeah.
To pray and talk to God about it. But I think that if that's what he's talking about, we shouldn't be fearful of coming to the forefront, talking about the biblical ways that we should do these things.
Yeah.
One of the examples that we have been left on the face of this earth with in our day and time was Dr. King.
Yeah.
Dr. King spoke of nonviolence. He used biblical terms. He walked in peace. He walked in love. And he wasn't for tearing up stuff, if that's what you're trying to get to. It was about unity. And,
right.
He had a dream. He said, I had a dream that one day this and one day that. Well, in a sense, the dream is being fulfilled to a certain point. But I don't believe he quoted that particular speech just off the top of his head. I feel that God actually gave him a vision. And if we as a church got a vision for the church, is we need to take a stand and show people how Christians can unite together, stand with one another, stop hiding behind the walls, if that's what he's saying, and come to the forefront, because we need prophets, we need leaders in this hours on different news topic, speaking about what Christians need to be doing. We shouldn't be hiding. We should be the leaders.
Right.
And,
should be in the forefront, right?
I'm saying you got to be out there with a big stick and march and all, but words are power. Yeah, the words are powerful, and God can put a word in us that can change this whole environment that we're dealing with. And I feel that God has some prophets, some pastors, some teachers out there that He can use. He always got a voice out there, and I just feel they need to come to the forefront.
Yeah, I agree, and seems like a lot of pastors these days are scared to come in the forefront, or they're not as forthcoming as some of the old leaders like MLK, and we definitely need to see the church presence and what's going on. But
well, let me say this here: if it's not even out there marching or walking or whatever, if the leaders would unite together. Put a time across the nation that, hey, at 12 o'clock tomorrow, You know, we asking all leaders, come together, bring our members together. I know that the virus is still out there. We still want to, you know, not forget that. And we're going to kneel for 15 minutes across this nation.
Yeah. And
I believe that would make an impact, because it doesn't make sense to me. God is all powerful, and you're not showing that you are a true soldier of his. And kneel together and come together, still just talking on the phone, hide behind the cell phone. No. And, you know, voicing your opinion in the closet. No.
Yeah.
Okay. God gave us tools, and the tool is fasting and praying, praise, and things of that nature. We need to use those tools, and the world need to see that.
Yeah.
Because guess what? If the truth be told, the pastors, our job is to get the people out of the world into the churches. What better time it is now to witness?
Yeah.
Because really, they are crying out for help, and a lot of people that are in certain areas, in certain places, they are doing things because what they see others do. They might not even have the real motive. Yeah,
you're right.
But we have the answer. It's called the Word of God, but we need to use it.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Well, I just want to say thank you, Prophet. This has been great. And we've covered a lot of ground in terms of relationships and blended families. And please, if anybody have any questions, you can always forward me the questions later, and we can come back and try to answer those questions. We are in a time and situation where we need to really do what God is calling us to do, not only relationship wise, but just in general in terms of our lives and our destinies that He's called us for. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us. And Prophet, do you have anything to say before we go off the air here?
Well, first of all, I enjoyed this particular topic. It's something that needs to be addressed constantly in our churches, because this is what we're faced with. Great percentage of people, you know, if the young lady doesn't have children, he has a son, or the man may have it. And I think we need to address things like this more, because people are hurting in the church, going to churches every Sunday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, and they need answers. And I've enjoyed this particular topic. I enjoyed last week. I think the church arena need to hear, you know, these things more.
Oh, I agree. And I'm hopefully one session we can get the men and the women all together, and let's have a conversation together and talk about some other things, some other relationship topics.
Yeah, well, I think that'd be wonderful. I'm sure my wife enjoyed it. She'd be glad to come back on the show. And to me, I always say hats off to her. This is really her field. Yeah. Hats off to her. She did numerous of books, and every year we're doing a conference here and all this kind of thing. So, you know, I'm just excited about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Prophet, can you pray us out?
Yes, sir. Father, we just thank and praise you, God, for this day and for this topic. That's you, would God bless the many blended families that are out there and families as a whole. We pray, God, today for those that are single and God designed to be married. And Father God, while we're yet praying for family, we pray for this nation, and we pray for the leaders of this country, that you would bless, God, our leaders, that you would give them wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Let us unite together as one, God, in the name of Jesus. And Father God, we just thank you for this day that you have created. You allowed us to see it and to walk therein, God. We believe in by faith, God. This is going to be one of the greatest days of our life in Jesus' name. Man of God, I'm so excited about seeing you again.
That's good to see you, Prophet. Always good to see you. Just want to say to everybody, thank you for joining us for another session of Stronger and Better. Look forward to seeing you. We're here every Thursday at 11 a.m. So please share this. Please get people to join in. We want to make sure that people are getting stronger and better, and that we are talking about real topics and giving real answers for the church. So thank you, and we'll see you next time. Love y'all.